So it was the weekend after the dramatic news that our Queen had passed away that I got to take the bullet out for a little ride. And what an extraordinary week it was, seeing the royal pageantry unfold and hearing so many varied testimonies about her character and stories of how she'd impacted so many lives all over the world. And I guess, like so many people, I didn't really think about the Queen a whole lot. She was just kind of always there. And I had this growing realization that my entire life has been part of an incredible era, living in a country which has probably had the most respected and dignified role model in the form of a monarch that history has ever seen, despite some of the behaviour of her family around her. But we won't go into that, except to say I really wish King Charles the very, very best as he walks into a role that is surely going to be very challenging, and the Queen will be a very hard act to follow. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to mention the Queen was the picture. Did you see it? The one that came up on social media of her riding an early model motorcycle. It naturally brought a considerable amount of delight to me, and I guess many others who saw it, and perhaps those who enjoyed the culture of getting out on two wheels. And so, there I was on the Sunday, the day before the funeral, with the chance of getting a ride out for the day amidst the changing of the season and the broader changes happening to British history. It was such a nice day taking out again to the Sussex B roads and seeing the vivid green of the trees and bushes that had recovered from all the hot summer. One little apple tree in our garden had thought it was springtime again and started to display a mixture of blossom and fruit at the same time. Well, after I'd done a few things on the morning, I thought I'd Google around a bit to see where I might go. And I first came across an organised meet for bikers to do a circuit of the M25. They were going to gather in honour of Her Majesty, and I really loved the idea of that, but I was already behind time to join it. And in all honesty, the M25 doesn't really hold a great appeal to me. I'm not sure if it does for you. But then I saw, just north of Hastings, another meet at the 1066 Cafe in Robertsbridge, that a company called Zero Motorcycles was going to be there to show and demonstrate some of their very interesting electric motorbikes. So I had a quick bite of lunch and without haste grabbed my GoPro, hopped on Edna to head out east and take a look. I've taken Edna out on a bit of a spontaneous run today. I'm heading over to the 1066 Cafe at Robertsbridge. There's an event on showing off the new Zero electronic motorcycle, which I want to take a little look at. Here I am with Edna buzzing around through the lanes, and I found an app called the Kalimoto app. It sorts you out a fantastic B road or even C road or D road to wherever you're going. It takes a bit longer, but of course it's absolutely stunning, and there's hardly any traffic around today, and I've been going past people waving, and just such a stunning ride today. So let's see what happens when we get there. Well, when I pulled up at the cafe, it was already around 3 and the majority of bikers had moved on. I didn't really mind, to be honest, not being one for the big crowds. I popped into the shop for a coffee and a quick look around. Then wandered over to have a look at Zero motorcycles.
Yep, these are them all back.
I met some of the team who were very welcoming. Are there 6 models?
Motor-wise, they're all the same.
Yeah.
They're all, roughly the same. There's some of them got different batteries, larger batteries. It doesn't give them more power, it's more about charging and
I was excited to have a look around, and then quite surprised to discover I was being invited to take one out. Well, I probably got here a bit late, since they told me that there were dozens and dozens of people, probably hundreds, back here earlier in the day. But what time is it now? It's 3:15. I did take my time coming over. Stopped a few times to look around at the scenery. This is the famous 1066 Cafe. And these are the bikes, the Zero bikes, look. The team had been doing short runs out throughout the day for people to have a go and see what they were all about. Nice looking machine.
Which one?
This one?
Yeah, it is.
So I'm going to have a little go on that. What did you think?
Yeah, it's different altogether. You can't pigeonhole it. It's just a different experience.
I really enjoyed having a ride, but I have to say I was a bit of an idiot because I forgot to press the record button on my GoPro while I was on it. Otherwise I could have shown you some of the footage. The wonderful thing was I had the whole ride home with Edna to think about what I'd just experienced. Somehow how it played into the bigger picture of some of the changes going on in the UK and indeed all over the world. As a musician, some of the parallels of changes in musical instruments and music forms came to mind. Couldn't help thinking about when the electric guitar was first invented nearly 100 years ago in the 1930s. Electric guitars were seriously controversial at the time. Some saw them as the future and a bridge to a new era, but many didn't see them as a real instrument, and I couldn't help wondering whether people might view electric motorbikes in the same way. I was fascinated, having fairly recently started riding again, and riding in an era now where there's so much interest in retro design and vintage concepts. Indeed, the big brands have been reimagining a lot of the old design in a newer form. However, my bike, the Royal Enfield Bullet 500 single cylinder, is hardly a reinvention at all. It's perhaps the most unique example of a machine that has hardly changed since it was invented. Not too dissimilar to the electric guitar in the 1930s. In my mind, hearing Keith Richards playing a vintage Telecaster is not too different than riding the Royal Enfield Bullet. But what of riding the electric motorbike then? Well, it certainly was a thrill, and I was really happy to try it out. But I couldn't help wondering whether these machines will develop the same passion and love of riding that the old motorcycles would do. But of course, there's 101 different reasons why anybody would ride a motorcycle, and I think there's a place for the electric bike in there. One thing's blatantly clear, that my dear old Bullet can't keep up with the vast majority of modern machines. But of course, that's not what riding a Bullet is about. It has a sound and a feel and a rhythm that I relate to, and it goes at a pace that suits me. And there's so much about it that runs in parallel with who I am as a musician as well. The 500 single cylinder engine has a kind of heartbeat rhythm about it, which I love. The Bullet doesn't draw you into a sense of competition with others. It invites you to harmonize with the road and the surroundings. When I'm out riding, I often remember my first Honda SS50 motorcycle in 1976, and it was the same time that I was first out as a drummer, playing the local pubs and clubs around Northamptonshire where I grew up. A ride out on the bike gives you time to think, time to reflect, and certainly takes you away from all the noise of the media and the world that's going on around you. I like that. So thanks for joining me on this episode, and I'll see you again soon.